The stranger dropped his fork on purpose. That is the thing I keep coming back to. The rest of it, the papers, the lawyer, the 8 months that followed, all of it started because a 75-year-old man I had never met in my life decided at 1:46 on a Tuesday afternoon in Benny's Diner in Center Township, Pennsylvania, to let a piece of cheap steel flatware fall onto a ceramic plate loud enough to make my son look up. My name is Russell Kowalski. I am 70 years old. I spent 37 years at the Aliquippa works, first under the J&L name, then under LTV, then working the tin mill cleanup crew after LTV closed most of the plant in '84, finally retiring in 2013 when US Steel finally shuttered the last of it. I was a welder for 34 of those years and a shift foreman for the last 3. My wife Irina died in December of 2021, ovarian cancer, caught late. She was 66. I have one son, Derek. He's 43. He is a certified public accountant with an office on the 3rd floor of a building on Smithfield Street in downtown Pittsburgh, and he has been driving out to Center Township every 6 weeks since his mother died to take me to lunch. I did not know yet, sitting across from him at Benny's that Tuesday, that by the end of March I would own a small brick row house in Beaver, 3 blocks from a man who had spent 28 years looking for a daughter who may or may not still be alive.
Benny's Diner sits on Route 51 just south of the Aliquippa exit, between a laundromat and a shuttered Ponderosa that has been shuttered since 2009. It is the kind of place where the coffee comes in a brown mug with a chip in the rim, and the menu has not changed since 1987. Derek and I always sat at the same booth, window side, second from the back, facing the parking lot. Irina and I used to sit in that same booth on Saturdays when we were recording in '73. I never mentioned that to Derek. He would not have remembered, and the memory was not for him. That particular Tuesday, Derek was late. He was always late, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes 20. He would come in fast, coat half off, phone in his hand, and he would sit down with the expression of a man who had been forced to interrupt something more important to attend to an obligation. I got there at 1:30. I ordered coffee and a slice of lemon pie. I watched the parking lot. At 1:42, Derek pulled his Audi up to the 3rd slot from the door and came in without looking at anyone and slid into the booth across from me with a manila folder under his arm. "Dad, sorry, meeting ran." "No problem, son." He opened the folder. "Hey, I need you to sign this before the end of the month. It's a homeowner's insurance update, nothing unusual. They just need a fresh signature because the carrier merged." He slid the paper across. He handed me a pen.
I reached for it. I have reached for pens Derek has handed me across this same booth probably 14 times since Irina died. Medicare supplement renewals, bank signature cards, a form from the Veterans Administration that turned out to relate to a benefit I did not qualify for, but which Derek said was worth filing anyway. I had signed all of them. I had read none of them. Irina used to handle the paperwork in our house. She had been a bookkeeper at the Beaver County Housing Authority for 28 years. After she died, I had signed what Derek put in front of me because I trusted my son and because I was tired, and because there is a way that grief reshapes a man so that the idea of reading a 3-page document in small print at a diner booth feels on a Tuesday afternoon in the second winter after your wife is gone like the last thing in the world you want to do. I had the pen in my hand, and that is when the fork hit the plate. It was the table next to ours, one table over, diagonal in the long row of booths along the window. An older gentleman in a gray tweed jacket with suede at the elbows, thick black-framed glasses, a newspaper spread open in front of him. He had been eating a slice of pie. I had noticed him only peripherally when I came in, the kind of man you register without registering. Another old guy in a diner on a Tuesday afternoon. The fork fell. It landed on the plate with the sharp ringing sound that cheap stainless makes on diner ceramic, and it bounced once, and it clattered, and he did not pick it up. Derek looked up.
Derek's eyes went to the sound. It was reflex. Any sound, any movement, any notification on his phone, Derek looked at it before he could stop himself. It was a tick I had watched him develop across 15 years of working in the kind of office where being first to notice things paid you money. He looked for maybe 2 seconds. And in those 2 seconds, while Derek's head was turned, the old man in the tweed jacket looked at me. Not at the fork, not at the table, at me. He held my eyes for what I now estimate was about 3 seconds. It felt longer at the time.
And in that 3 seconds, without breaking the held gaze, without making any other movement his head could do, he shook his head. Small, side to side. Once, twice. No, don't. Then he leaned down, picked up the fork, apologized to no one in particular, and went back to his pie. Derek turned back to me. Sorry, Dad, what were we? Oh, right, sign here and initial the top. I looked at the pen in my hand. I looked at the paper on the table. I looked at my son, who was looking at his phone. I said, you know what, Derek, let me take this home and read it over. I've been rushing things lately. Mom wouldn't have signed anything at a diner, and I don't know why I started. Derek's face changed.
It was small, a flicker around the mouth, the eyes a touch harder. Then the recovery. Dad, come on, it's an insurance form. I explained it already. We've been over this. I need it back to the carrier by the 30th or your coverage lapses. I'll have it back to you by the 28th, 2 days before. Dad, I drove out here. And I appreciate that, son. He looked at me. I looked at him. He was, for the first time in maybe 2 years, trying to figure out whether I was the same man I had been last week. Fine, whatever. Bring it Thursday. I've got another lunch out this way Thursday. He put the folder back under his arm. He did not finish his coffee. He paid at the counter, which was a thing he never did. He always let me pay because he said he liked letting his old man buy him lunch, and he walked out and drove off in the Audi without waving. I sat there. The old man at the next table watched him go. Then he slid out of his booth, picked up his coffee cup, and sat down across from me in the seat Derek had just left empty.
I apologize for the theatrics. His voice was quiet, an accent underneath the English, Polish, but old country Polish, the kind that came over in a suitcase in 1950-something and never fully left. He was maybe 75, silver hair cut short, hands with arthritis in the knuckles, and a wedding ring on the left that had clearly not come off in decades. I don't know you. You don't know me. I have no business sitting at your table. You're the one who dropped the fork. I am, yes. Why? He set the coffee cup down carefully. Because I spent 41 years as a vice president of lending at the Beaver County Bank that got absorbed by PNC in 2013, and in 41 years, I signed or reviewed roughly 11,000 documents with the word insurance in the title. And I can tell you, from where I was sitting 2 feet away from your table, that the paper your son put in front of you was not a homeowner's insurance update. I did not say anything. I could see the heading. I couldn't read all the text, but I could read the heading. The heading said Change of Beneficiary Designation, which is not a homeowner's form. It's a life insurance form. And the letterhead underneath it was Lincoln Financial, which is not a homeowner's carrier. Lincoln Financial is a life and annuities house. He looked at me. Now, I may be wrong. Maybe your son is updating your beneficiaries at your request and using shorthand. It happens. But you looked, forgive me, like a man who was about to sign something he did not know he was signing.
I looked at the empty booth across from me. I looked at the ring stain on the formica where Derek's coffee cup had been. I looked at this stranger. Who are you? Tomasz Nowicki. In the old country, it was Tomasz. Nobody calls me Tomasz anymore, except my sister, and she is 83 and lives in Krakow. Why would you do this? Do what? Interfere. He was quiet for a moment. Because once, a very long time ago, a man at a bank in Beaver could have stopped my daughter from getting on a bus to New York City with a man who was not what he said he was. He did not stop her. He had a feeling, and he did not act on it. And I have been thinking about that man and about that feeling for 28 years. I said, your daughter, Joanna. She was 23 in 1997. She wanted to be an actress. She got on a bus from the Pittsburgh station to New York. She sent postcards for a while.
The last one I got was in 2001 from a post office box in Yonkers. I have not heard from her in 24 years. She has never been declared dead. I do not know where she is. I do not know if she is. He took a sip of coffee. So when I see a man in a diner about to sign a paper he has not read, I drop a fork. It is a small thing. It costs me nothing. Sometimes, nothing is exactly the right amount to cost.
I sat with that. Outside the window, a Beaver County school bus went past on Route 51. The sky over the Ohio River Valley was gray the way it is always gray in late February in western Pennsylvania. A gray that is not weather so much as atmosphere. The background color of life in a town that used to make steel and does not anymore. I said, "Mr. Nowicki." Tomasz is fine. Tomasz, my son handed me a paper at a diner and told me it was a homeowner's update, and you're telling me it was a life insurance beneficiary change? I am telling you what I saw. My life insurance beneficiary is my wife. Your wife, you said earlier, passed in 2021. She did? Then the current named beneficiary is probably the contingent, which in most cases is the child, which in your case is your son, which raises the question, if your son is already the contingent beneficiary, why does he need you to sign a beneficiary change form? I did not answer. I did not need to. He slid a business card across the table. Plain white. Name, phone number, street address in Beaver. No title. I retired in 2013, but I am not without resources. If you want to know what is actually on that paper, and on any other paper your son has had you sign in the last 2 years, I can help you find out. It will cost you nothing. I am, as I said, available. He stood up.
I will not knock on your door, Mr. Kowalski. If I am wrong about what I saw, you throw this card away and you never think of me again, and I will have been a crazy old man in a diner. If I am right, you come find me when you are ready. I am at this diner every Tuesday from 12:30 to 2. I have been at this diner every Tuesday for 21 years. Why Tuesdays? Because it was the day my daughter and I used to come here when she would visit from college. She liked the pie. He put a $5 bill on the table next to his coffee cup. I am sorry to have been in your business. I hope I am wrong. I am usually wrong. But I was not wrong enough of the time, across 41 years, to keep my mouth shut today. He walked out. I watched him go. He crossed the parking lot to a gray Buick LeSabre that looked to be about 1994, and he got in, and he sat for a moment with his hands on the wheel, and then he backed out and drove north toward Beaver. I looked at the business card. Tomasz Nowicki. A phone number. An address on 3rd Street in Beaver, 2 blocks from the courthouse. I put the card in my wallet. I drove home.
The house Irina and I had built sat on a half-acre lot on Davidson Street, on the hill above what used to be the J&L Aliquippa Works, and was now mostly a flat expanse of brownfield, with a small industrial park and a U.S. gypsum plant at one end. Irina had picked the lot in 1984 because from the back porch you could see the curve of the Ohio River. I pulled into the driveway at 3:30. I sat in the truck for a while. Then I went inside. I made coffee. I sat down at the kitchen table. I pulled out my wallet. I took out the business card. I put it on the table in front of me. I looked at it for a long time. And then I did something I had not done since the week after Irina's funeral. I went into her office, the small room off the dining room that she had used as a bookkeeping workspace, and I pulled out the file cabinet in the corner, the one she had labeled Russ and Irina in her careful bookkeeper's handwriting, and I opened the top drawer. Inside were folders. Folder after folder, organized by category and year. Mortgage, car, medical, insurance, life, insurance, home, pension, Social Security. Everything we had ever had, every account we had ever opened, every policy we had ever renewed, documented across 45 years of my working life and hers, organized by a woman who had died of a cancer she had kept quiet about for 6 months longer than she should have.
I pulled out insurance, life.
The folder was thin, 3 documents. The first was the original policy Irina and I had taken out in 1993 with Lincoln Financial, $340,000 in term life, converted to whole in 2008 when the term ran out, and we paid the premium difference. Because we had the money and because Irina had said, "Russ, if something happens to one of us, $340,000 is what the other one is going to need, and I do not want to revisit this decision at 68. The second was a beneficiary designation from 2008. Primary, Irina Kowalski. Contingent, Derek Kowalski. The third was a beneficiary designation dated November 14, 2023. I did not remember seeing it. I did not remember signing it. I pulled it out and held it up to the kitchen light. Primary beneficiary, Derek Kowalski. Contingent, blank. And the signature at the bottom was mine. Or it was a signature that looked like mine. The R was a little off. My R has a loop that doesn't close fully, and this R closed. But the rest of it was close enough that if I had been handed this document in a different moment, in a different booth, by a different person, I would have said, yes, I signed that. I had not signed that. Or I had, and I did not remember. Which, for purposes of what I did next, was the same thing.
I called Tomasz Nowicki at 6:07 that evening. He picked up on the third ring. This is Tomasz. Mr. Kowalski, Russ Kowalski, from the diner this afternoon. Mr. Kowalski, hello. You were right. He did not say anything. There's a beneficiary change from November 2023 in my files that I don't remember signing. My son is the primary. My wife was already dead at that point, and he was the contingent. So either he forged it, or he put it in front of me on a day I don't remember and told me it was something else. Either way, it's not what I want. Mr. Kowalski, I am sorry. Don't be. I called because you offered to help. I'm calling to say yes. Okay. What do? We do not do anything tonight. Tonight you pour yourself a drink if you drink, and you do not drink if you do not, and you sleep. Tomorrow morning I will come to your house if that is all right. I will bring with me a woman I have known for 30 years, an attorney in Beaver named Connie Zawadzki. Connie was my daughter's godmother. She has handled approximately 400 cases of elder financial exploitation across her career. She will know what to do. Is 10 o'clock acceptable? 10 is acceptable. Your address? I gave him my address. Mr. Kowalski, one more thing. Yes. Do not say anything to your son. Not tonight, not tomorrow before we speak. Whatever he calls about, whatever he texts, you have the flu and you will call him back Friday. Can you do that? I can do that. Then we will see you at 10.
I did not sleep well. I had not expected to. At about 3 in the morning, I got out of bed and walked through the house. Every room. I turned on the lights. I looked at the things Irina and I had accumulated across 45 years. The pierogi maker on the kitchen counter, which she had used every Christmas Eve for the Wigilia Vigil Supper. The photograph of her parents on their wedding day in 1946 in a displaced persons camp outside Munich. The crucifix above the bed, which had come from her grandmother in Lodz, and which had crossed the Atlantic in 1949 in a steamer trunk. I thought about Derek. I thought about him at 6 years old, standing next to me in the garage while I replaced the water pump on Irina's Oldsmobile. He had held the wrench. He had wanted to help. I had let him turn one bolt, and he had turned it backwards and stripped the threads, and I had said nothing because he was 6, and because Irina was watching from the kitchen window, and because the boy had been so proud of himself. I thought about him at 43, sitting across from me at Benny's, handing me a pen. I thought about what had to be true about a son, internally, for him to walk a father of 70 years through a systematic reorganization of his assets while calling each individual step insurance update, or signature card, or standard renewal. It was not a thing I was going to understand. I understood that I was not going to understand it. That was a separate thing from accepting it, but it was a start.
Tomasz and Connie Zawadzki arrived at 10 sharp. Connie was 68, 5'2", steel gray hair and a short practical cut, glasses on a beaded chain. She wore a black wool coat and carried a leather briefcase that looked older than Derek. Tomasz introduced us on the front porch. We went inside. I made coffee. We sat at the kitchen table, where 21 hours earlier, I had looked at a beneficiary designation I had not signed. Kanye did not waste time. Mr. Kowalski, Tomasz has told me the outline. I need you to tell me the details. Every paper your son has put in front of you since your wife died. Everything you can remember. Take as long as you need. I started at the beginning. Irina had died December 16, 2021. Derek had driven down from Pittsburgh the night she died. He had stayed in the house for 3 days, slept in his childhood bedroom, handled the funeral home arrangements, handled the church, handled the cemetery. I had been, to use Kanye's later word, non-functional. On the 4th day, he had handed me a piece of paper. Dad, we need to get you set up on the finances. Mom handled everything and you don't know the passwords. I'm going to put my name on the checking account and the savings account as a joint holder. That way, if anything happens, I can help. Just sign here. I had signed. The following month, he had come back with durable power of attorney paperwork. Dad, standard estate planning. You don't have one. Everybody should have one. I had signed.
Across the next 26 months, Derek had brought me, by my best reconstruction, at least 14 documents. I could not list all of them. Some I remembered clearly. Some I had only a vague sense of. Medicare supplement renewals, annual beneficiary attestations, something the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue had apparently required. A trust document that was described to me as a standard thing your mother had been meaning to set up. Connie was taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, she did not say anything for a moment. Then she said, Mr. Kowalski, I want to give you my honest professional assessment before we proceed. I can't tell you yet what is in your file at Lincoln Financial, at PNC where your accounts are, at the Beaver County Recorder of Deeds, or at the Orphans Court of Beaver County. We will pull all of it today. But based on the pattern you just described, and I have seen this pattern more than 100 times, your son has been conducting what I would call a progressive financial capture. He added himself to your accounts. He obtained durable power of attorney. He changed your life insurance beneficiary. And he is, I would be willing to bet my practice, now attempting to alter the ownership structure of this house. I said, a life estate deed. Connie looked up. Yes, almost certainly a life estate deed with himself as the remainder man. Why do you know that term? I said, Tomasz mentioned it last night. She looked at Tomasz. Tomasz shrugged. I read, he said.
Connie spent the next 3 hours on her phone and her laptop at my kitchen table. She pulled records from PNC, from Lincoln Financial, from the Beaver County Recorder of Deeds, and from the Beaver County Orphans Court docket. Tomasz made more coffee. I sat mostly in silence and watched a lawyer who was older than my son work through the digital records of a family I had not realized I was no longer the head of. At 1:15, she set down the laptop. Mr. Kowalski, here is what I found. She read from her legal pad. 1. In February 2022, Derek was added as a joint holder with right of survivorship on my PNC checking and savings accounts. Combined balance at that time, roughly $41,000. Current balance, roughly $22,000. Net outflow across 3 years, $19,000, most of it in transfers labeled as rent assist, utility, and insurance premium, none of which I had ever received. 2. In March 2022, I executed a durable power of attorney naming Derek as my agent. The document was notarized by a notary at a UPS store in Robinson Township. Broad powers, real estate, banking, investment, tax, retirement accounts. 3. In November 2023, the Lincoln Financial beneficiary change, Derek as primary, no contingent. Signature disputed, which Connie would later confirm as a probable forgery by handwriting comparison. 4. In April 2025, a quiet application was filed with Lincoln Financial to begin early disbursement of a $340,000 accelerated death benefit based on a physician's attestation that the insured was terminally ill. I am the insured. I am not terminally ill.
I sat with that for a while. Connie waited. She had apparently developed the lawyer's gift of not filling silence. Then she continued. 5. A document titled Declaration of Life Estate had been prepared, not yet recorded, but drafted, and was sitting in a folder associated with a title company in Moon Township, waiting to be presented to me for signature. The document conveyed the Davidson Street property to myself as life tenant and Derek as remainder man, with Derek holding full rights of disposition upon any finding of incapacity. That was the document, Connie said, that Derek had most likely been intending to put in front of me on a near future Tuesday at Benny's Diner. She looked at me. Mr. Kowalski, the form your son put in front of you yesterday, the beneficiary change, that was a secondary move. He was updating a beneficiary designation on a smaller policy I don't think you know you have, a rider your wife took out in 2011 on your pension, $38,000 face value. He was cleaning up edges. The main move was coming. You interrupted the schedule by not signing. I said, how did I interrupt the schedule? Connie said, because Tomasz dropped a fork. She closed the laptop. Mr. Kowalski, we can discuss strategy in a minute, but first, I need to tell you what I would tell any client in this situation. This is legally recoverable, all of it. None of these transactions have closed in a way that can't be undone. Your son has not taken physical possession of the life insurance proceeds because you are alive. Your son has not recorded the life estate deed because you have not signed it. His withdrawals from your joint accounts can be challenged. His power of attorney can be revoked with a single document you sign today. 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 I brought it with me. I drafted it last night after Tomasz called me at 10 o'clock. She slid a document across the table. Revocation of power of attorney. 3 pages. Plain language. My name at the top. Derek's name in the body. A line at the bottom for my signature and a notary seal. I have a mobile notary coming at 3, Connie said. Her name is Marisol. She owes me a favor, and she will come to this house. You sign in her presence. I file the original with the Beaver County recorder this afternoon. By 5 p.m. today, your son has no legal authority over any of your affairs. I picked up the pen. I looked at it. I thought about Derek holding a toy wrench at 6. I signed. The next 12 days were the strangest of my life. Connie worked fast. She filed the revocation, she contacted Lincoln Financial, PNC, and the Beaver County Recorder with certified mail notifications that Derek Kowalski was no longer my agent and that any pending actions involving my accounts should be suspended pending verification. She contacted the title company in Moon Township and informed them that the life estate declaration they were holding was no longer authorized. She also retained a handwriting expert, a former Pennsylvania State Police document examiner named Harold Weiss, who had examined the November 2023 beneficiary form against 27 undisputed examples of my signature from across 40 years. His report, delivered 8 days after our first meeting, concluded with 92% confidence that the disputed signature was not mine. Meanwhile, I did not answer the phone. Derek called 6 times in the first 4 days. I let each call go to voicemail. He texted. The texts escalated, worried at first, then irritated, then concerned, then alarmed. Dad, what is going on? Dad, I just got a certified letter from PNC about some revocation. Is this real? Dad, please call me. I am seriously worried about your state of mind. That last one was the one Connie had warned me about. She had said, when he figures out he is losing the money, he will switch from pretending to love you to pretending to worry about your competence. Do not engage. Every text he sends that questions your mental state is evidence we will use. On day 9, a letter arrived at my house from a law firm in downtown Pittsburgh. The letter informed me that Derek Kowalski, my son, was considering petitioning the Beaver County Orphans Court for an emergency guardianship determination based on observed signs of cognitive decline. The letter cited my refusal to respond to communications, my recent impulsive revocation of an established power of attorney, and my agitated state at a recent family lunch on February the 10th. Connie read the letter in her office that afternoon. She smiled. It was a small, tight smile. The smile of a lawyer who has been waiting for the opposing move for 9 days and has just received it. Mr. Kowalski, this is good news. How is this good news? Because this is the move that converts your son from the subject of a civil matter to the subject of a potential criminal complaint. Filing a frivolous guardianship petition against a competent elder for the purpose of continuing financial exploitation, which is what this letter is threatening, is itself an act of elder abuse under Pennsylvania law. Title 18, Section 3922.1, Financial Exploitation of an Older Adult. We now have the letter. We now have the pattern. We now have the forged beneficiary form. We now have the unauthorized withdrawals. We now have the terminal illness application. She set the letter down. Tomorrow morning, we schedule your independent cognitive evaluation with Dr. Janet Perlman in Sewickley. Within 2 weeks, your son's lawyer withdraws the threat. Within 4 weeks, we have resolution. Trust me.
Dr. Perlman was 62, blonde, wore pearl earrings, and had a husband who had died the year before. She put me through a full 2-day neuropsychological battery: MOCA, trail making, Boston naming, working memory, executive function, verbal fluency, constructional praxis, the whole menu. She told me, at the end of the second appointment, "Mr. Kowalski, your cognitive testing is normal across every domain. Your memory is slightly above average for your age. I'm going to write that up in a formal evaluation letter and forward it to your attorney, and I'm going to recommend, if you don't mind me saying so, that you consider suing the attorney who drafted the competency threat letter for sanctions. It was a frivolous filing." I said, "Doctor, I'm not going to sue anyone. I'm going to do the minimum I need to do to stop my son from taking what's mine, and then I am going to go home and live the rest of my life." She looked at me for a moment. She said, "Mr. Kowalski, that is the most cognitively competent statement I've heard from a patient in 6 months." I said, "Thank you." She said, "Your coffee is on me."
The meeting with Derek happened on a Thursday in mid-March. Connie hosted. Derek brought his attorney, a man named Rick Sorensen from the firm that had sent the guardianship letter. Sorensen arrived with a different posture from the one implied by the letter, a lawyer who had read a cognitive evaluation from Dr. Janet Perlman and a handwriting report from Harold Weiss and a forensic accounting from a CPA Connie had retained named Melissa Chavarria, walks into a room differently from a lawyer who is threatening a guardianship petition. Tomasz was not in the room. He had offered to be. I had declined. This was a family matter, even if the family had become, by Derek's own hand, something I no longer had a word for. We sat at Connie's conference table. Derek was across from me. He did not look at me when I walked in. He had gray under his eyes. He had lost weight. I noticed, and I filed the noticing, and I did not let it change what I had come to say. Connie read the list. The joint account withdrawals, $19,000, documented. The forged beneficiary form, documented. The unauthorized life insurance accelerated death benefit application, documented. The pending life estate deed, documented. The guardianship threat letter, documented. When she finished, Sorensen cleared his throat. "We'd like to propose a resolution in lieu of referral to the Beaver County District Attorney's Office." I said, "Go on."
The resolution was not complicated. 1. Derek would return the $19,000 in full within 60 days. Wire transfer to an account Connie would specify. 2. Derek would sign a formal written admission, notarized, that he had altered my Lincoln Financial beneficiary designation without my consent. The admission would be held in escrow by Connie's office. It would be released to the Pennsylvania State Board of Accountancy if, at any time in the future, I or my estate had reason to believe Derek was attempting any further action against me or my assets. The State Board would revoke his CPA license on receipt. 3. Derek would not contact me for a minimum of 1 year, except in writing, through Connie's office, and any such correspondence would be subject to Connie's discretion regarding forwarding. 4. Derek would take no action regarding my estate, my health, my living arrangements, or my finances, directly or indirectly, for the remainder of my life. Sorensen read the terms. Derek listened. He looked at his hands. When Sorensen finished, Derek finally looked up at me. "Dad?" I said, "Derek, I want you to hear this. I am not going to press criminal charges. I am not going to have you on a list anywhere. I am not going to take your license away today. You are going to have a life.
You are going to have to rebuild it yourself, the way I rebuilt mine after the mill closed in 2013. You are going to figure out how to pay your $91,000 in credit card debt without my money, and you are going to figure out how to finish your divorce without my house, and you are going to do all of that without me. But you do not get me.
Derek said, "Dad, please." I said, "Sign the paper, son." He signed it. So did Sorensen. So did Connie. So did I. Derek stood up to leave. At the door, he turned. "How did you find out?" Connie opened her mouth to answer. I held up my hand. "A man dropped a fork," I said, "in a diner. On purpose." Derek did not understand. I said, "You would not understand, son. It is not something a person like you would notice. That is, as it turns out, the whole problem. The whole thing that went wrong. Not the money. Not the paperwork. The fact that you stopped being the kind of person who would notice a fork." He left. Sorensen left after him. I sat at Connie's table for a minute. Then I stood up, walked to the window, and looked down at 3rd Street in Beaver. Tomasz was sitting on a bench across the street, reading a newspaper, waiting. I had asked him to be close. I went downstairs and crossed the street and sat next to him on the bench. He folded the paper. He said, "Done." I said, "Done." He said, "Are you hungry?" I said, "I am." He said, "Benny's is 35 minutes away. There is a better diner 2 blocks from here. The coffee is not as good, but the pie is better. Come."
We walked 2 blocks. It was the first day of spring that felt like spring. The sky over the Beaver River was pale blue. A woman in a red coat was walking a terrier past the courthouse. The air smelled like diesel from the bus that had just pulled away from the corner, and like wet concrete, and like, very faintly, the river. At the diner, which was called the Wooden Angel despite being a diner and not, as the name implied, a seafood restaurant, which it actually also was depending on the time of day, Tomasz ordered coffee and lemon pie. I ordered coffee and lemon pie. The waitress knew him. Her name was Faye. She was maybe 70. She called him Tomasz. "Your friend," she said to me, "has been coming here on Wednesdays for 15 years. I don't know why Wednesdays." "Wednesday was the day my wife died," Tomasz said. "I come to remind myself that Wednesdays keep happening." Faye patted his shoulder and walked away. We ate the pie. We did not talk for a long time. Then Tomasz reached into the inside pocket of his tweed jacket and pulled out a manila envelope, about an inch thick, sealed with tape along the flap. He set it between us on the table. "What is this?" I said. "This is 28 years of note on my daughter," he said. "Names of people who may have seen her. Addresses of places she may have lived. Newspaper clippings from unidentified women in the medical examiner offices of 17 states who did not turn out to be her. Letters I have written to investigators I have hired. Letters they have written back."
"I am 75, he said. "I have maybe 10 years if my knees hold and my heart is kind. I have never in my life asked another human being to help me look. I am asking you now, not because you owe me. You do not owe me. I dropped a fork. That is all." "Then why are you asking?" He looked at the envelope. "Because you and I are 2 men who have learned late and at cost that blood is not the same thing as family. My daughter is somewhere. Your son is somewhere. Neither of them is coming home the way we wanted. What we have left at our age is time and the choice of what to spend it on." He looked up at me. "I would like to spend the rest of mine looking for Joanna. I cannot do it alone anymore. I have been trying. The trail is cold and my eyes are bad.
But if there are two of us, if there is a second mind looking at the files, a second set of eyes reading the transcripts, a second phone to call the hospitals in Yonkers and Bridgeport and New Haven, then I think we have a chance. I don't know anything about investigation. Neither did I 28 years ago. It is not a skill, it is a decision. I looked at the envelope. I thought about the Davidson Street house, which was too big for me now, and too full of a woman who was not there. I thought about the drive into Pittsburgh, which had never been one I wanted to make. I thought about Beaver, which was small and walkable, and had a Polish Catholic parish at the top of the hill, and a diner with lemon pie on 3rd Street.
I said, "Tomasz, I need to sell my house. I was going to wait until summer. I think I am not going to wait anymore." He said, "There is a small brick row house on 3rd Street, 3 blocks from where I live. The owner died in November. Her children are selling. It is $135,000. There is a yard, there is a garden that needs work, there is a spare bedroom that could hold every file I own." I said, "Tomasz, when did you get a listing for a row house in Beaver?" He said, "Yesterday morning, after your phone call to Connie. I walked over and I talked to the family. I told them I had a friend who might be interested. I hope that was not presumptuous." I said, "Tomasz, it was presumptuous." He said, "I apologize." I said, "Show me the house." We walked to the house. It was a 2-bedroom, single-story, 1,100 square feet, red brick, built in 1941 by a steelworker named Stanislav Dobrinsky, who had worked at the J&L Aliquippa works, and whose daughter, Magda, had died at 89 in a nursing home in Rochester 3 months earlier, and whose 3 adult grandchildren, 2 in Chicago, 1 in Tampa, were tired of dealing with a Beaver County probate. I walked through it. There was a fireplace. There was a kitchen that had not been renovated since 1973. There was a screened porch at the back that looked out on a yard with a dogwood tree that would, in 3 more weeks, be blooming white. Irina would have liked the dogwood.
I closed on the 3rd Street house 41 days later. The Davidson Street house took longer. It went on the market the first week of April and sold after 2 price reductions in June for $135,000 to a younger couple from Pittsburgh who wanted a cheap starter home near the river. The husband worked at the U.S. gypsum plant. His grandfather, it turned out, had also worked at J&L. I moved to Beaver on a Saturday in late June. Tomasz helped me unload the truck. Faye from the Wooden Angel brought a lemon pie. Father Andre from St. Titus in Aliquippa drove up in his rusted Ford to bless the house because he had known Irina for 30 years and because he had said on the phone that he was not going to let a man from his parish move without a blessing, even if the man was moving to a different parish. The new parish was St. Monica's at the top of the 3rd Street Hill. I started going to Mass there on Sundays. I met people, slowly. The Polish community in Beaver was smaller than in Aliquippa, but it existed, and it closed around me the way it had closed around Tomasz 28 years earlier when Joanna disappeared and he did not know how to be alone. I learned how to use a computer. Tomasz had been resisting digitization for a decade. His 28 years of notes were in 3 banker's boxes in a closet in his spare room. I took them out. I bought a scanner. I started, folder by folder, digitizing his archive. The folders taught me things I had not expected to learn. I learned that in 2004, a waitress at a diner in White Plains, New York, had told a private investigator hired by Tomasz that she had served a woman matching Joanna's description 3 times in the spring of that year, always alone, always ordering the same thing: eggs, wheat toast, tea. I learned that in 2011, a hospital administrator at Yonkers General had confirmed that a Jane Doe had been treated for a minor head injury in April of 2001 and had given the name Joanna Williams, which was the maiden name of Tomas's mother. I learned that in 2019, a letter carrier on a route in Bridgeport, Connecticut, had told one of Tomas's investigators that he recognized Joanna's photograph from 1997 as a woman who had lived at a specific address on a specific street for approximately 18 months in the mid-2000s before moving on. I learned that every trail Tomasz had followed across 28 years had ended the same way: a witness who had seen someone once, a year or 2 earlier, who was gone by the time the information reached him.
I learned that Joanna Nowicki was either dead or she was a woman who had spent a very long time learning not to be found. I learned that Tomasz was not going to stop looking either way.
Derek did not contact me for the first year, as the agreement required. He did not contact me for the second year either. In August of the second year, I got a letter, handwritten, on yellow legal paper, forwarded through Connie's office. Dad, I know I have no right. I know I took something from you that cannot be replaced. I am writing because Sorensen told me I could write, not to ask for anything, but to tell you that I have been sober for 14 months. The gambling was the debt. The gambling was why. I am not saying that to explain. I am saying that because you deserve to know what you were actually up against. If you ever want to talk, I am here. If you never want to talk, I understand. I love you. I am sorry. Derek. I read the letter twice. I set it down on the kitchen table of the 3rd Street house, next to my coffee, next to the scanner, next to the folder I was working through that morning, which contained interviews from 1999 with 6 separate stage managers in off-Broadway productions who had auditioned a young woman named Joanna who had never returned their calls. I did not respond. Not yet. Maybe someday. Maybe when I have finished reading every folder in Thomas's archive and looked my own son's story in the face with the same patience I have learned to look at Thomas's daughter's story.
Tomasz and I made 2 trips in the second year. The first was to Yonkers to follow up in person on the hospital lead. We drove up in his Buick. We stayed 2 nights in a motel off the Sawmill River Parkway. We found the hospital administrator who had handled the Jane Doe case in 2001, now retired, now in an assisted living facility in Tarrytown. She remembered Joanna, remembered her as quiet, polite, bruised on one side of her face, unwilling to say how, gave a false name, left the hospital against medical advice after 41 hours, never returned. The trip did not give us Joanna. It gave us instead one more 41-hour window of her existence, one more place where she had been 24 years ago, which was a very long time ago. On the drive home, Tomasz said, "Russ, I do not think we are going to find her." I said, "I know." He said, "Does that bother you?" I said, "No." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Because you told me the first day that the trail was cold. You told me what this was. I am not looking for her because I think we will find her. I am looking for her because the looking is the thing. The looking is the answer to the question you asked me in the diner. Blood is not the same thing as family. I am spending my time with the people who dropped the fork." Tomasz did not say anything for a while. Then he said, "That is the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me."
The second trip was in November of that year, to a small town called Marbletown in the Hudson Valley, to follow a lead from a stringer at a newspaper in Kingston who had run a piece on homeless women in the Catskills in 2017. One of the women in the photograph that ran with the piece had looked to my eye enough like the age-progressed sketches of Joanna at 50 to be worth the drive. She was not Joanna. We made the drive. We found the woman. Her name was Rita. She was 62 and from Poughkeepsie. She was not Polish. She was not Joanna. She did, however, know where Joanna might be. She had known a woman, she said, 5 years earlier at a women's shelter in Kingston who had gone by Anna, who had spoken Polish, who had talked sometimes about a father in Pennsylvania who had worked at a bank. Rita thought Anna had moved on to somewhere in Vermont. We paid for Rita's dinner and her bus ticket back to Poughkeepsie. We drove home in the snow. Tomasz and I did not speak much. The heater in the Buick was not working, and we were both wearing 3 layers. About 40 miles west of Scranton, in silence, Tomasz said, "Vermont." I said, "Vermont." He said, "In the spring, after the snow clears." I said, "In the spring." Here is what I have come to understand. I spent 70 years assuming that the people at my table loved me because they were mine. My son was mine. He carried my name. He sat at my table on Easter and Christmas and at every Sunday supper until he left for college, and I believed, without examining the belief, that his presence was a form of love. It was not. It was a form of proximity. And proximity is not the same thing as love. And a name is not the same thing as loyalty. And DNA is not a moral argument. A stranger in a diner showed me, in 42 seconds, that love is a choice made in public by people who owe you nothing. Derek was my blood. Tomasz was not. One of them dropped a fork on purpose in a diner in Center Township to save a man he had never met. The other one waited in a Pittsburgh office building for me to sign a paper I could not read. Blood is not the measure. Choice is.
I turned 72 last month. Tomasz came over. He brought lemon pie. Faye came over. She had retired from the Wooden Angel, but still baked, and still made the best crust in Beaver County. Father Andre came up from Aliquippa. Connie came with her husband, who was a retired radiologist and a terrible singer. 2 neighbors from 3rd Street came. The woman who had bought the Davidson Street house, improbably, drove up with a bottle of wine because she had heard it was my birthday from a cousin of hers who knew Tomasz from somewhere. 8 people at the table. One of them was my blood. None of the other 7 owed me anything. I cooked kielbasa and pierogi. Irina's recipe on the pierogi, my mother's on the kielbasa. Tomasz brought the vodka. Father Andre blessed the table. Connie's husband tried to sing Stolat, and it was the worst performance of that song I have ever heard. And the table laughed, and then the table sang it together, and it was the best performance of that song I have ever heard. After dinner, Tomasz and I sat on the back porch of the 3rd Street house, drinking tea, looking at the dogwood, which was bare in November, but which would bloom again in April. He said, "Russ, Vermont in April." I said, "Vermont in April." We did not need to say anything else.
Last week, a package came in the mail. Return address, a small town in Vermont I will not name here because Tomasz has asked me not to. Not yet, not until we go. Inside the package was a Polish prayer card. Old, creased. The kind of card a grandmother in Lodz might have given a grandchild in 1956. There was no note. There was no name. There was, however, a single sentence on the back of the card, written in black ink, in a woman's handwriting. "Tell him I am tired of running." Tomasz read the card 3 times. He did not cry. Tomasz does not cry. He handed it to me. I read it. I set it on the kitchen table between us. He said, "Russ." I said, "I know." He said, "We go Thursday." I said, "We go Thursday." If this story has meant something to you, if you have ever sat at a table with someone you love and failed to notice that you were the only one still at the table, leave me a comment. Tell me where you were watching from. Tell me, if you want to, about the fork you should have dropped, or the one you wish someone had dropped for you. Hit the like button. Subscribe. There will be more stories. And if you want to know what happens Thursday, in a small town in Vermont, you will have to stay with us. We have not arrived yet. Thank you for giving an old man your evening.